Imagine waking up one day to find that Starbucks has granted you free coffee until the end of your life. That will be the biggest surprise of all time, right? That is exactly what Iceland did in terms of energy evolution. Of course, it did not provide the country with a free energy supply. But given its status at the turn of the 20th century, when it was one of Europe's poorest places to live, and today relying nearly entirely on its own electrical source, it has undoubtedly turned the tables. On one hand, where people in the UK were seen marching down the street in terror of the energy bill monster consuming all their assets a few months ago, Iceland's population thoroughly enjoyed the winters. After centuries of being ruled by a foreign throne, Iceland actually lacked a lot of fundamental infrastructure. Not only were its people unduly reliant on fossil fuels, but it also lacked competent institutions deserving of funding for breakthroughs in the energy sector. The electricity expense, which was clearly excessive given their location on the outskirts of the Arctic Circle, was sucking up even more of the economy. If you believe that constructing an integrated energy system is a solution, you should reconsider the economic chart. Then, how did they become so capable that presently, 70% of electricity comes from hydropower, with the remaining 30% coming from geothermal sources? Geothermal water is used for space heating in nearly 9 out of 10 homes in Iceland. Instead of relying on the rest of the world to solve its energy problems, Iceland began to rely on its own natural resources. The country is located on the Atlantic Ridge, which explains why it has over 200 volcanoes. Just an interesting fact, geothermal energy has been used for heating homes, swimming pools, and even washing clothing since the Viking period. That's a fascinating backstory. The country is home to Europe's largest hydro dam, Kranjkar. They began to use clean and natural hot water straight to the boreholes of the houses via pipelines, reducing people's reliance on fossil fuel electricity. The rest of the houses, however, were powered by renewable energy. Clever, right? With the charging stations available on the road, even electric car firms have seen a lot of popularity in the country. If you think this is the end, let us assure you that we have just scratched the surface. Not only did the country make its fishing ship sector self-sufficient in terms of energy, but the vehicle produced 43% less pollution in 2014 than it did in 1990. Excellent outcome. With their own reliance on abundant energy sources, they completely started hitting the aim of not using conventional energy. But wait a minute for a story. What do you suppose started it all? Did the falling apple land on someone's head? Mill, there will never be another Newton. But one day, a farmer came up with a new sustainable technique to use the hot water that was pouring out of the land. He built a geothermal heating system by allowing water to flow inside the farm and aid with crop growth. This is where his concept became the success mantra of towns that borrowed drilling tools and technology from the oil industry and brought about a new change. In fact, the first hydroelectric power plants were built by hardworking farmers. However, that is only one side of the story. Indeed, the country began teaching hundreds of professionals worldwide geothermal courses, which were supported by the United Nations geothermal training programs. Given that, the world's largest geothermal district heating system, which is currently located in China, is an excellent example of Icelandic influence. Over 1 million customers in China are now taking advantage of this as well. This is now known as the abundance of energy, in which you expand with the world. Because glaciers cover over 11% of the country, Iceland experiences seasonal melts where water flows from mountains to the sea. Hydropower makes use of this once more. They appear to have everything covered. Now, the country is bringing in companies such as aluminum smelters, fish farms, and even massive data centers that will benefit from both the island's electrical demand and climatic availability. The government has even created electricity transmission systems to assist them in dealing with natural disasters and extreme weather situations. So, regardless of what is going on outside the windows, industries and households appear to be living their lives with barely any power outages. Icelandic green transition in terms of energy is definitely not a one model for all approach, but every country with their own available resource can learn from it. Iceland has helped more than 7 countries in the period from 2012 to 2019. Now it has been seen that the country is pushing the East African energy projects as well as women empowerment to a whole different level. Situated at a completely different location, the Great East African Rift System is also a hub of volcanic activity. Since Iceland has already graduated from this problematic issue, the country smirked at the face of the challenge. As the heat from the inside of the Earth is bursting on the surface, Iceland took the initiative of financing and partnering with African Rift Geothermal Development Facility project. Not only this, Iceland started teaching young African students about the in-depth of geothermal development and even supported the African Women Energy Entrepreneurs Framework. This means more women's involvement in the energy sector. Hence, not only the country solved its own energy issues, but ended up bringing a revolution in a country half a world away. As the UN.org shared, Iceland might be carbon neutral by the year 2040. Not only that, it will be completely free of fossil fuel energy usage by 2050. Even Euronews clapped and awarded Iceland the title of Green European Country of the Month in May of this year. The Germany-Iceland Clean Energy Summit, which took place on June 12 this year, was heavily focused on decarbonizing the energy system while maintaining its security. This small country, the size of Kentucky, has transformed the impossible into the conceivable. Now that we've shared such an amazing story with you, tell us about the next topic you'd like to learn about. Also, if you like our content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will see you in the next video.